In this video, I'm going to show you how World War III has more than likely already started and why prepping and preparedness is the most important thing that you can do heading into 2023. SHTF could kick off before you know it, and you want to be ready for SHTF when it does, because this time World War III may be nuclear. Preppers beware, because as you know, the popular saying, history repeats itself, is true. Now, the definition of war, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is a state of armed conflict between different nations or states or different groups within the nation or state. Now, not all wars are formalized with official declarations of war. However, not every ongoing armed conflict is classified as a war either. However, don't be fooled, guys. The world is at war. It just hasn't been officially declared yet. And yes, that is my opinion, but I'm going to give you some basis of facts and figures that help base my opinion. As you know, World War III would bring more economic instability and more famine and more food shortages around the world. Empty shelves like you or I could never imagine would become a reality. That's why you need to keep prepping and start prepping if you haven't already. Now, according to the Uppsala Conflict Data Program, which has tracked war and conflict data since the 1970s. Now, their definition of war, which describes war as a state-based conflict or dyad, which reaches at least 1,000 battle-related deaths in a specific calendar year. Now, fatality figures include combatants that died in action as well as any targeted civilians. Now, as we look at this article from September describing the Russia-Ukraine war, you can clearly see that the number of lives lost are way over 1,000. In fact, at the time of this article, the fatality count was well over 14,000 from the Russia-Ukraine war. So make no mistake about it, guys, what's going on over there in Ukraine is a war, and there are many nations involved in that, even though the main actors right now are Russia and Ukraine as far as troops on the ground. So World War III, guys, has already started, and that's why you need to keep prepping and take prepping seriously. Now, I'm about to show you exactly why World War III has already started, in my opinion, and why you need to start prepping for SHTF right now. Now, back before World War II officially began, there was already conflict and war going on. There were invasions, treaties, and different world powers were forming their alliances. Now, let's look at a timeline to see the similarities and how history is repeating itself. As you can see here, back in 1931, Japan invaded Manchuria. Also, you can see where Italy and Germany signed a treaty of cooperation. Also, Germany and Japan signed the Anti-Comintern Pact. And if you look further down into history, you'll see that when Japan invaded China and when Italy joined Germany and Japan in the Anti-Comintern Pact. Now, one of the big key factors, as you can see, is when Great Britain and France agreed to defend the borders of Poland, and when they actually did so on September 3rd, 1939. Now, this was 2 days after Germany invaded Poland on September 1st of 1939. Now, if you fast forward to today, and now you have NATO and the United States doing and saying the same thing. You see, the United States has been involved in this war from the beginning. Don't be fooled, guys. The United States has been supplying weapons and intelligence to Ukraine since this thing began. So America is heavily invested in the Russia-Ukraine war, just like Great Britain and France were back in World War II. So as you can see, guys, you need to start preparing right now and start prepping for SHTF. Now, let's look at this headline from the New York Times from September 1st, 1939, when Germany did invade Poland. Now, as you can see here, guys, it says nothing about World War II starting or World War II beginning. It only says that Germany has invaded and attacked Poland. Now, if you look at this latest headline from the New York Post, back when Russia invaded Ukraine from February of this year, you see it says war in Europe. Putin declares war on Ukraine. So guys, World War II had already started back in the mid to late 1930s, long before Germany actually invaded Poland, as we saw on the timeline. It just wasn't officially declared yet. So if you compare all those past history movements and moments, the treaties, the invasions, the troop movements, you see that's happening right now, guys. World War III has begun, just not officially yet. Now, much like our government can't or won't come out and just say, guys, that World War III has already begun. That would create mass panic and throw our already fragile economy straight into the toilet. So who would keep on working and being productive knowing that we're in a world war? and that in just a short time we would be living in SHTF mode. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to be living in SHTF mode, guys, but that's why we prepare just in case if this World War III is worse than we even think it can be. You see, the morale and incentive of not just Americans, but people all over the world would be shattered. So don't hold your breath waiting on the media or the government to tell you that World War III has already started. They didn't do it, as you saw, with World War II, and as to my knowledge, they didn't do it with World War I, and they're not going to do it this time either, guys. You have to know these things are happening and get prepared right now and start prepping. So SHTF, guys, could kick off and World War III could last for several years. So that's why you need to be prepared and you need to be prepping and have all the supplies that you need, because once World War III officially kicks off, or it's officially recognized by the media or the government, it's going to be too late to start prepping then. So there's going to be empty shelves at grocery stores, skyrocketing inflation, and food shortages will set much of the world up for record famine. So as you can see, guys, history does repeat itself, and that's why you need to be prepping and be ready for SHTF. And I take no joy in bringing you all what some call doom and gloom. But it's my mission here at All Day Everyday Preparedness to help you start prepping and be ready for SHTF. Now, I say this in almost every video, but truly the time to prepare and to start prepping is running out. Now, there's been reports of Iranian soldiers in Ukraine, as you know. As you know, America has troops on the border of Ukraine, and recently, U.S. inspectors went into Ukraine to do some inspections. Also, as you know, North Korea has been firing missile upon missile, and some believe that their nuclear weapons program is better than what most people think of it. It's also been reported that North Korea and Russia resumed their railroad transportation alliance. Now, this rail passage between North Korea and Russia opened up for the first time in almost 3 years when it was shut down back in February of 2020. So nuclear war and nuclear Armageddon could be a real possibility, guys. And it's what started as the Russia-Ukraine war is evolving into World War III as time goes on. So trust me, guys, just like I said, and just like you can see with World War II, all the signs are lining up for this to be World War III. So I hope that everyone that's watching this video, that you realize the severity of this situation and that you've started prepping already. Now, if for some reason you haven't started prepping, I hope that you answer the call and get started prepping today. If you want to learn more about prepping for SHTF, then check out these videos right here. I'll leave the links to those videos in the description as well. Also, another great learning source is to check out other great prepper channels like Alaska Prepper, Canadian Prepper, as well as Full Spectrum Survival. Now, I want to thank you all for watching. Make sure that you like the video and give us a thumbs up. But guys, continue to prepare, and as always, be blessed.